Welcome back to Genealogy and Chronology. Today we will be discussing about the complete genealogical history of the Qutub Shahi dynasty, more formally known as the Golconda Sultanate, which ruled over current-day Telangana and northern Andhra between 16th and 17th century. Please consider subscribing to my channel as I will be discussing more about genealogies and history of Indian royal houses in coming weeks. Before we start discussing about the Qutub Shahi dynasty, we will first take a look at what was the state of Indian subcontinent in 14th and 15th century. With the declining power of Delhi Sultanate, Alauddin Bahman Shah in 1347 established the Bahmani Sultanate, which ruled over Deccan region with Gulbarga as capital for about 170 years. Much of Bahmani Sultanate's history is filled with revolts and constant wars with Vijayanagara Empire. The decline of Bahmani Sultanate started with the establishment of independent monarchies within the Deccan region, collectively known as the Deccan Sultanates. The first region to declare independence was Ahmednagar in 1490. Later the same year, Berar and Bijapur also declared independence. Golconda declared its independence in 1518, and lastly, Bidar was independent by 1528, thus ending the rule of Bahmani Sultanate over the Deccan region. The Sultanate of Golconda was established by Sultan Quli Qutbul Mulk. He was a direct male-line descendant from the Qara Quyunlu monarchy. Qara Quyunlu monarchy was a Persianate Muslim Turkmen monarchy which ruled over what is today Azerbaijan, Georgia, Armenia, Iran and Turkey. It was established in 1374 by Behram Khwaja. Later his cousin Khara Muhammad succeeded him. Khara Muhammad was the father of Khara Yusuf. The line of Khara Yusuf would rule until 1460s, after which it was succeeded by Akh-Khoyunlu, which was its rival monarchy, established in 1378. Akh-Khoyunlu itself was succeeded by two of the Gunpowder Empires, the Safavid Empire and the Ottoman Empire in 1503. The descendants of Khara Khoyunlu would go on to play a major role in the politics of the Indian subcontinent. During the later days of Khara Khoyunlu, Sultan Quli with some of his relatives migrated to North India and later to Deccan, where he served under 14th Bahmani Sultan Mahmud Shah Bahmani II. Sultan Quli saved the life of Sultan Mahmud Shah Bahmani II from a local revolt, and he quickly rose in favor of the Sultan, and thus he was made the Taraftar of Telangana region in 1487. As the power of Bahmani Sultanate declined and as more regions declared independence, Sultan Quli stopped sending his tributes to Sultan Mahmud and established his rule over Golconda and declared independence from the Bahmani Sultanate in 1518. But it is important to note that he never took any royal titles, nor did he declare himself as Sultan or King, not to be confused as his first name itself was Sultan. After declaring independence, Sultan Quli started expanding his realm to east, where he conquered most of the Telangana region and parts of northern Andhra. In 1543, while offering his evening prayers, Sultan Quli Qutbul Mulk was assassinated either by some unknown people or his own son Jamshid Quli. Following the death of Sultan Quli, Jamshid proclaimed himself as the ruler, and it is also said that he blinded his elder brother and made his younger brother Ibrahim Quli to flee to Vijayanagar. Jamshid Quli passed away in 1550 after a prolonged illness. He was followed by his son Subhan Quli, who was just 7 years when he succeeded his father. Subhan Quli was deposed by his uncle Ibrahim Quli Qutb, who returned from Vijayanagar after 7 years following his brother's death. He proclaimed himself as Sultan and was possibly the first Qutub Shahi ruler to take the title of Sultan. Sultan Ibrahim Quli Qutb Shah made repairs and restorations to the Golconda fort, which can be seen even today. He commissioned works for constructing a stone bridge across River Musi, famously known as the Purana Pul. He also commissioned the construction of Hussain Sagar, which back in the day was a major source of drinking water for the city of Hyderabad. Ibrahim Quli was married to Bibi Jamil, who was daughter of Hussain Nizam Shah, third Sultan of Nizam Shahi dynasty. It is also worth noting that Ibrahim Quli's third cousin, Kunza Humayun, was wife of Hussain Nizam Shah, and her daughter Sultana Chand Bibi was married to Ali Adil Shah I, fifth Sultan of Adil Shahi dynasty. The Sultanates of Golconda and Bijapur would have 3 more marriage alliances in future, about which we will discuss later. In 1580, Sultan Ibrahim Quli Qutub Shah passed away and was succeeded by his son Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah, who was born to his other wife Bagherati, whom he had married during his stay at Vijayanagar. Sultan Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah is the most famous and well-known sultan from the Qutub Shahi dynasty. He laid the foundations for construction of a new planned city of Hyderabad in 1591. He also constructed Charminar, a mosque with 4 minarets to commemorate 1 millennium of the Islamic Hijri calendar. This is the most famous monument from the state of Telangana, and it can also be seen in the state's emblem. While Sultan Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah was ruling over Golconda and Hyderabad, his contemporary in North India was the third Mughal emperor Akbar the Great. Sultan Muhammad Quli's sister was married to Ibrahim Adil Shah, 6th Sultan of Adil Shahi dynasty. Sultan Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah had no sons, and hence his daughter Hayat Bakshi Begum was married to Sultan Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah's nephew Prince Muhammad Qutub Shah in 1607. After ruling for 32 years, Sultan Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah passed away in 1612 at a young age of 46 years, and he was succeeded by his nephew Muhammad Qutub Shah. The construction of Mecca Masjid was started during the rule of Sultan Muhammad Qutub Shah in 1614. His daughter Khadija Sultana was married to Muhammad Adil Shah, 7th Sultan of Adil Shahi dynasty. Sultan Muhammad Qutub Shah's rule was very short of only 14 years, and he passed away in 1626 at the age of only 32 years. His son Abdullah Qutub Shah succeeded him at the age of 14 with Hayat Bakshi Begum as regent. Sultan Abdullah Qutub Shah's rule saw the beginning of the decline of Qutub Shahi dynasty. The Mughal Empire in the north was at the peak of its power, conquering new lands with every rising sun. In 1656, Aurangzeb, who was Viceroy of Deccan under his father, Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan, started siege of Golconda. Due to interventions of Hayat Bakshi Begum, talks were arranged between Aurangzeb and Abdullah Qutub Shah, and it was decided that Aurangzeb's eldest son, Muhammad Sultan, would be married to eldest daughter of Sultan Abdullah Qutub Shah, and after the death of Sultan Abdullah Qutub Shah, the throne of Golconda would be passed to Muhammad Sultan. The chances of Muhammad Sultan succeeding Sultan Abdullah Qutub Shah and also the throne of Mughal Empire were not only high but certain, because Muhammad Sultan was the eldest son of Aurangzeb. But during the war of succession to Mughal throne, Muhammad Sultan decided to side with his uncle. He rejoined his father's side in 1660 after Aurangzeb won the war of succession, but he lived rest of his life in imprisonment and died in 1676, 31 years before his father's death. Abdullah Qutub Shah, like his grandfather, did not have any male heirs to succeed him. With Sultan Muhammad in prison, the chances of Mirza Nizamuddin Ahmad becoming Sultan became even more certain. Mirza Nizamuddin was the grandson of Safi I, Shah of Persia and 5th ruler from the Safavid dynasty through his daughter. But his unpopularity among the nobility resulted in Sultan Abdullah Qutub Shah proclaiming his son-in-law Abul Hasan as his successor. The ancestry of Abul Hasan is unclear, and historians narrate that it was turn of fortunes that made him sultan from a commoner. Unfortunately, he would be the last sultan of Qutub Shahi dynasty. His daughter was married to Sikandar Adil Shah, who also happened to be the last sultan of Adil Shahi dynasty. Aurangzeb besieged Bijapur in 1686 and incorporated the Sultanate of Bijapur into Mughal Empire. The next year, in 1687, Aurangzeb led his Grand Imperial Army to Golconda and besieged the fort for 9 months. After a prolonged war and some defections, the fort was taken by the Mughal army by the end of 1687, and Sultan Abul Hasan Qutub Shah was imprisoned and exiled to Daulatabad Fort, where he lived for the next 12 years and died in 1699. He is the only member of the Qutub Shahi royal house not to be buried in the Qutub Shahi tombs necropolis. The tomb which Sultan Abul Hasan Qutub Shah started constructing for himself actually houses the grave of Mirza Nizamuddin Ahmad. A son was born to Sultan Abul Hasan Qutub Shah's wife during his imprisonment in Daulatabad Fort, but it is likely he was murdered after the death of his father, or he died from some illness. The Mughals would rule Golconda and Hyderabad for the next 37 years. Unfortunately, Mughal Empire itself saw the start of its own decline following the death of Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb Alamgir. Mughal Empire disintegrated into succession crisis, and Mir Kamaruddin Ali Khan Siddiqui, who was son of Feroz Jung I, commander-in-chief of Mughal army during the siege of Golconda, began his autonomous rule over Deccan, and his dynasty would go on to rule the heart of the Deccan region until 1948, becoming the largest, richest, and last princely state in pre-independence India. I have already made a video going in detail about the Asaf Jahi dynasty of Hyderabad. I hope you all liked this overview of the royal house of Qutub Shahi dynasty. Consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel, as I will be going to make more videos on Indian royal houses in coming days, starting with Bahmani Sultanate, Mughal Empire, Delhi Sultanates, Deccan Sultanates, and much more. I am also trying to work on many medieval Indian dynasties. If you want a hard copy of this poster and you live within India, please reach out to me. If you like my work, please consider supporting me on Patreon. If you are a fan of J.R.R. Tolkien, check out my Middle Earth series. Thank you.